Freedom, man. That's what it's all about. You've got to groove on freedom, like the good book says.
Welcome. You are listening to What on Earth is Happening. This show will discuss the topics of human consciousness, mind control, natural law, the occult, and all issues that affect the freedom of the people of Earth. What on Earth is Happening will endeavor to shine light upon the darkness of our world and to offer empowering solutions to the problems we face as humanity approaches its critical moment of choice. And now, here is your host, Mark Passio.
Welcome, one and all. You're listening to What on Earth is Happening. I'm your host, Mark Passio. My website, whatonearthishappening.com. Today is Saturday, February 2nd, 2013. It is midwinter. Today is Candlemas or Imbolc. This is What on Earth is Happening, episode number 139. And the big announcement to come right in with it at the top of the podcast today is that I will no longer be broadcasting live on Oracle Broadcasting, on the Oracle Broadcasting Radio Network. And today on the show, I'm going to be getting into some of the reasons that I have made the decision to separate from the Oracle Network and to go on my own with a non-live podcast, and I'll be getting into the reasons that I've made that decision a little bit later on this show today. So I want to let people know a couple of things. Last week, the show was on replay on Oracle Broadcasting because I actually had a case of laryngitis. I was not actually sick. I had talked my voice out from actually trying to explain some things to some people that I had been around over the last couple of days preceding last Sunday. And in getting into conversations with them, I just blew my voice out. So that's the reason I wasn't on the show last week live. It took a couple of days for my voice to recover, and it wasn't so much that I was really getting into any kind of heated debates or arguments with these people. They weren't exactly rejecting the information that I was talking about with them, but it was an environment that was kind of noisy, and so I was trying to talk over noise, and when that happens, I tend to strain my voice. So that's the reason I wasn't on live last week. But with the new podcast format, I'll have a lot more flexibility in what I want to do on the show. So some weeks I'll be doing shows that are longer than 2 hours. Maybe we have a topic that really needs extensive, in-depth discussion and really expanding upon the information. And so podcasts that week may be longer. Some weeks I may do something that's really quick, and it may only be 45 minutes to an hour. And it's going to be on an irregular schedule as well, the podcast. It may not, some weeks I may come out with 3 or 4, and some months I may do 2 podcasts in a month, or even 1. this is going to allow for greater flexibility, and I think it's going to really ultimately let me have a greater modicum of control over the entire show and the quality of the content. So that being said, before I get into my reasons for leaving Oracle and how I'm going to progress going forward, I want to read a couple of event announcements, as I always do. The Free Your Mind 2 conference, of course, coming up April 25th, 26th, and 27th of 2013. It's going to be the biggest conference of its kind anywhere on the East Coast for sure. And we're really looking forward to it. A lot of excitement about it. Advanced ticket sales now coming in. It's the best way you can support us. We are going to have to put out speaker expenses over the next couple of weeks. So if you can get your ticket sales in now is the time to do it. Advanced ticket sales right now, much better than a donation, even to the conference cause. Advanced ticket sales for the Free Your Mind 2 conference will be on sale only until April 1st. April 1st. After that, no more advanced ticket sales. We will only be selling tickets at the door from that point forward. So, Free Your Mind 2, a conference on consciousness, mind control, and the occult, right here in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, April 25th through 27th, 2013. The location is the beautiful Arch Street Meeting House in the historic district of Philadelphia at 320 Arch Street. The doors will open at 8 o'clock a.m. each day. The featured speakers, Alan Steinfeld, Alfred Weber, Andrew Bashago, Ben Stewart, Bob Tuskin, Kathy O'Brien, Curtis Davis, Dr. Dream, Frater X, Freeman Fly, Fritz Springmeier, Jan Irvin, Jay Parker, Jim Fetzer, Larkin Rose, Laura Eisenhower, Lennon Honor, Loren Moray, Mark Passio, Mark Phillips, Marty Leeds, Randall Carlson, Ross Ben, and Sonia Barrett. Advanced tickets for the whole conference, only $120. You can get more speaker and ticket information at our conference website, www.freeyourmindconference.com. Since we're on the topic of the Free Your Mind 2 event, I want to take this opportunity to play an audio commercial that we made that's been running on a couple of different networks for the Free Your Mind 2 event. This is something that now is possible since I'm doing my own podcast that's not on a radio network, an internet radio network, that doesn't allow for just playing some audio just right in with my voice. So I'll be able to do this now, and I'm also maybe looking to even expand capabilities like this by maybe getting a nice multi-channel mixer in here, which I currently don't have. I'm simply running through a microphone plugged directly into my computer. But at some point, I would like to get a multi-channel mixer and an even better condenser microphone to have a little bit better control of the quality of the sound. So with that having been said, let's run the Free Your Mind 2 audio commercial. And this was done by my partner, Barb. She did a great job on this, and it's been running on many different internet radio networks. So here it is, the official Free Your Mind 2 audio commercial.
Free Your Mind 2, a conference on consciousness, mind control, and the occult. April 25th through 27th in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. World-renowned whistleblowers gather together to shed light on our world's problems and bring forward empowering solutions. 3 days, 24 speakers, your mind set free. Free Your Mind 2, April 25th through 27th in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. For speaker and ticket information, visit freeyourmindconference.com.
Okay, what a great job Barb did on that commercial, and very proud to have it out there running to promote the Free Your Mind 2 conference. So, also having to do with the conference, we're going to be hosting a fundraiser. This will be the third official fundraiser for the Free Your Mind 2 event. The first one was held back in September at Liberty's Pub. The second one was the Radio Bomb Marathon that we did on American Freedom Radio in January. This one is coming up February 20th. That's Wednesday, February 20th, 2013, at Underground Arts, 1200 Callowhill Street in Philadelphia. This is the Free Your Mind 2 Conference Fundraiser number 3. And it is going to feature all musical acts. Bands will be playing at Underground Arts. The headlining band is the Maniac Agenda. And we're going to be booking 2 other great bands that are still to be announced. I believe that we do have confirmations on those acts. I simply have to receive their names and get them onto the flyer. But I have a preliminary flyer posted to the conference website and in the news section of What on Earth is Happening. So it will be $15 to attend the event. That will go to the organizational fund to offset costs associated with speaker travel and lodging expenses. $15 at the door. The doors will open at 7 o'clock p.m. and we'll be starting in with the bands probably around 8 or 8:30. So this is the Free Your Mind 2 Conference Fundraiser number 3 at Underground Arts, 1200 Callowhill Street, Wednesday evening, February 20th, 2013. Okay, other event announcements. I was on the Jack Blood Show on No Agenda Radio on Friday, February 1st. Jack interviewed me for an hour. It went really well. Had a good time going on the show with Jack Blood. And this interview will be posted to my news section of whatonearthishappening.com very shortly. So look for that coming in the next day or two. All right, so that's all the event announcements I have for right now. Let's get into the reasons that I decided to leave Oracle and strike out on my own with a non-live podcast. One of the first reasons is that I feel that the overall quality of the network has just been sort of deteriorating over the past many months. I think Oracle was a much better network in the past, and to be honest, when I listen to the network, and I have been doing a lot of listening to the quality of the information coming out of Oracle Broadcasting over the last several months, but really a lot over the last 2 or 3 months, it just, I just can't even really believe some of the things that I hear about what people think is actually going on, and, you know, particularly some of the conjecture regarding who is actually behind what's going on in our world. And I'm not even going to dignify, you know, some of the outright disinformation or non-comprehension on the part of some, and again, this is not a reflection on everybody at that network, but some of the hosts and some of the people putting out information over the network. Now, also, I just feel that the quality of listenership, when you look at, if you just follow people going into chat rooms and just take a look at what people are saying regarding any given show, it makes me want to stay away from radio networks altogether, because it's just what people, I mean, I just have to come out and say it. People are just so appallingly ignorant. It's just, there is so much dross and chaff out there. You know, people's minds are just, they're burnt. They really are burnt. These people are operating with burnt brains. I mean, that's the only way I can say it. I can't be nice about it. And I just want to just distance myself as much as possible from all of this. And that's about as honest as I can be about it, because the level of ignorance that people have come to, they really do deserve what they have, and they really do deserve what's coming. The problem I have with it all is that there is a smaller segment of people who don't deserve what's coming. They don't deserve to go through the kind of suffering that we're going to witness in our lifetimes, because they do understand freedom and they do understand the causal factors that are taking place. And that's the reason I continue to put out information. I'm not giving up by any stretch of the imagination. I'm transitioning to a different level of focus and to do something that is a little bit more targeted and is just out there for people who want it. And hopefully people will appreciate that. And if they do, that's great. And another thing I'm going to talk about is a little bit later in the show is people who really aren't doing that much. You know, I want to get back into taking action, which is going to be a theme for today's show. And doing it in a way that you are making some sort of an impact and not just pointing fingers at other people and being an armchair quarterback. So the shockingly, appallingly ignorant at this late stage in the game is one of the reasons I want to just separate myself from everything else, you know, and just do my own thing, not be associated even in anyone's mind through, you know, logical fallacies like guilt by association. I just want to do something that I have a little bit tighter control over, that is more focused, that will be out there just for the people who want it, because they'll have to come to my site to get it. And I'm really taking a step back from interaction. Okay? To be honest, I really want to be honest about this. And before we even get into more about that, let me just go back to Oracle for a moment and say that I want to thank Doug Owen from Oracle, who is one of the owners of the network and who has always extended a hand of hospitality and friendship toward me. And anytime I had any technical issues or problems, he was always right there, willing to help out, and always did a great job as, you know, a host of that network. So thanks to Doug, and I wish him the best in his future endeavors, and I wish him well, of course. So this has certainly nothing to do with how I was treated by the network. Again, I think the quality of the information coming out of that network has gone into a decline and could be stepped back up, to say the least. But that's not the only reason for me stepping away from Oracle. The other reason is, again, I want to do things in a more irregular fashion. Again, I may do some shows that are 6 hours long and go super in-depth on a topic, on an esoteric topic. And I may do a show that's a half an hour where I just rant for a little bit. And I want to have control over the time that I put this out, you know, when I do it. You know, I may want to say something on a Wednesday evening, and I can't do that on a network. You know, I may want to put something out right away on the website, and I have to wait until a Sunday to go on the air live, and then I only have 2 exact hours to get the message out. So, again, this is going to be a more irregular approach, of course, as a podcast will be. So, with that having been said, I think, you know, I've said enough about my reasons for leaving Oracle. And I really want to talk about the donations now that came in from people who were chipping in for keeping the show commercial free. Now, of course, a podcast is going to be commercial free, but I'm no longer with a network, and that was the intended purpose for people sending me some of those those donations. So, here's how I want to handle the ad-free chip-in, which did meet its goal for the last 3 month period. Okay, people who donated between November and January of 2013, from November 2012 to January 2013. Of course, since separating from Oracle, and another one of the reasons is I just felt like I did not want to use those resources on something that I didn't fully feel that it would be the best use for those resources. I in all honesty, could not do it in good conscience. Okay? And, that may sound harsh, maybe just, some people, but I feel like if the quality of the network isn't where I feel it should be, and people will say, well, you're bringing the quality of the network up with your information. Again, I don't even really want to have this information associated with some of the other information that I hear going out on other networks, and which is why I'm just saying I'm speaking for myself. I'm doing this on my own. It's my own thing from here on out. Again, the information isn't mine. That belongs to everyone. But the format is my own particular format for information. And again, doing a non-live podcast just affords me that a little bit greater level of fine-tuning and control over what I'm putting out there. And the overall way that it is being put out there. That being said, will this podcast not reach as many people? More likely than not, that's true. It won't reach as many people as I was reaching on the Oracle Broadcasting Network. Perhaps it may. It depends on how many people want information like this, how many people are waking up, how many other people turn them on to it. And again, another thing I want to say is this podcast will be sort of open source, you could look at it as. If any networks want to pick up any of these podcasts in total or in part, they're welcome to do so and run them on their network. There's no copyright on this information. I just share it freely and do what you want. Now, I don't want my words being taken out of context and edited up, okay, and, put in, a different context that would give people the impression I'm saying things that I'm not, so I don't want people to chop up my words and put them in nonlinear ways that make it sound like I'm saying something that I'm not. So as long as people keep the podcast intact, I don't care if you want to run 1 hour, 1 week, 1 day, 1 hour the next day, do what you will with it. It could be picked up and rebroadcast by anybody that feels that this information is valuable and worth sharing. So that being said, let me go back to the ad-free chip-in. Since I did not turn the money over to Oracle Broadcasting that was raised during the ad-free chip-in, I want to let people know how the ad-free chip-in money that was donated over the last 3 months will be handled. And I'm going to give people the opportunity that if they are upset that I am leaving Oracle and will not be on that network anymore and I'm striking out with a podcast on my own, that they can get a refund. So if you don't want that money to be used for any other purpose, you can write to me if you donated between November 2012 and January 13 to the ad-free chip-in, not the overall What on Earth is Happening donation. That's a separate fund. The ad-free chip-in effort. If you donated between November 2012 and January 2013, you can write to me for a refund. The email address is on the website on the contact page of whatonearthishappening.com. That's the first option. The second option is if you would like to specifically ask that the monies that you donated be redirected to a certain cause, then I will do that. So you can write to me and say, I'd like my money to be redirected to, for example, the Free Your Mind 2 conference. And if you don't want me to just decide the best usage for it, I'll put it toward the Free Your Mind 2 event. You could write to me and say, I want it to be used to make the What on Earth is Happening podcast better. Maybe put some of that money toward a new multi-channel mixer or a new quality cardioid condenser microphone, something of that nature. So You can write to me for a refund, or you can write to me to let you know how you would like the donation to be redirected. The third thing is, if I don't hear from you at all, just, if you don't write to me at all about the donation that you made in the last 3 months, then I'll take that as that you are trusting me to redirect the funds into what I feel is the most appropriate usage for them. So 3 options there for people who donated to the ad-free chip-in, since that money was not going to Oracle at the end of that period. Because again, in good conscience, I do not feel it was the best usage for that money. And again, some people will be upset with that, and that's fine. They could simply write to me and I'll issue them a full refund of whatever they donated. If they are okay with that and want to specifically request how that money be redirected, you could choose the Free Your Mind 2 conference, or even the Tesla Science Foundation, or the What on Earth is Happening podcast, or anything else for that matter, if you would like me to redirect the money if it's a decent cause or charity. If I don't hear from you, I'll take it as you trust me to redirect that into whatever I feel is the most appropriate usage for those funds. And more likely or not, it will be split over the Free Your Mind 2 conference or the What on Earth is Happening podcast improvement effort. Okay. So that having been said, let's look at some changes that I also made to the whatonearthishappening.com website over the last week. Of course, since I'm not doing the radio show live, there is no radio show page anymore on the whatonearthishappening.com website. There's also no chat room, and this goes hand in hand with how I'm simply pulling back from interaction with the public. I feel that the public in general, and again, people who do understand should not take offense by this statement, who do have a real inkling of what's going on in the world. The public is so unfathomably ignorant, and the people who come, some of the people who come in the chat room are such, I mean, the only way to even say this is they're animals. They're not even human beings. They're animals. The racism is rampant in a lot of these people's mindset. They totally fall for the divide and conquer ideology, the divide and conquer manipulatory tactic, the method of control. They're totally caught up in the dialectic, and they're degenerated animals. They're not even humans as far as I'm concerned. And yet you do have some people who also come in and really understand and want to have a legitimate discussion. But in all honesty, it's just like the effort for even making a chat room like that, not that I hand-coded it myself, but to even go onto the site, sign up for an account, set up the chat room, find a plugin for my site and post it. It's not even worth it for the kind of content that goes through that forum, that medium. It's not worth it. It's just, it's a mudslinging fest usually in there, and 90% of the people who go in there have absolutely no clue what is going on the earth at all. And the things that they say, and again, people who they blame, they really, really have their head so far up their ass that they may never get it out, to be just completely honest and wicked about it, because it's just the truth. Their owners are laughing at them so hard that I'm telling you, these people are probably responsible for the largest proportions of sales of adult diapers throughout the world than anyone else, because that's how much the real owners of the people of this world are laughing, that they're just absolutely wetting themselves. Absolutely. And just looking at what they say, and just, where they have been able to work their minds into the place that the manipulators of this world have been able to work the minds of some of the idiots of this world into, all they can do is laugh their asses off to a point where they're wetting themselves. So, I mean, that's all. I don't even have any other words to say what I think of what I have seen going on in different chats, including my own, over the last few months. And people will say, oh, you're falling into the whole thing. Oh, these are just shills. These are hired people to go in and say this stuff. What's the difference? There's still people who actually are willing to do that, who don't care about what the world is, who don't care about what's going on around them. And they'll take money to go in and try to create opposition inside a chat room of a show that's trying to explain something that's really taking place. What's the difference whether that person's paid to do it or not? Or is just a complete clown idiot that actually believes the nonsense that they spew? To me, there's no real difference between those two things. It's still the same end result. Somebody's still doing that action. So, is it disheartening? I think that it is, because it just shows you how destroyed people are. They're so mentally and spiritually destroyed and degenerated. It's just unfathomable to me that this is still where we are in the age of total information. We are in an age where information is at everyone's fingertips and they actually act like degenerated animals. It's so sad that, and they don't even understand they're the ones who are keeping the prison going. Their ignorance is actually keeping the prison going. They don't care that they're slaves. They love it. They love being slaves. They love it. They can't get enough of it. They can't get enough lies. They can't get enough disinformation. They can't get enough slavery. They love the word troll is very appropriate because it's this degenerated, loathsome, retarded creature that is just so, they're just such a golem husk, That's what their owners just call them, the dead and the golems. That's what they refer to these things as. I don't even want to call them people, they're things. Okay, and people say, man, I mean, you're so harsh. It's such, vicious criticism. Yes, it is. It's wicked, bitter criticism. It's called vitriol. Vitriol, V.I.T.R.I.O.L, vitriol, as in vitriolic. And I was briefly letting people know a couple of weeks ago that vitriol is actually an anagram in the alchemical tradition. V.I.T.R.I.O.L, vitriol, means in the alchemical teachings, Visita interiora terrae, rectificando inviens occultum lapidem. So, visita, the V, interiora, I, terrae, T, terrae. The R for rectificando. This is all Latin. I, inviens. L, occultum, and O, occultum, and L, lapidem. So, visita interiore terrae rectificando inviens occultum lapidem. The translation of this out of the original Latin from the alchemical tradition is visit the interior of the earth, and through rectification you will find the hidden stone. Okay, or by way of making this upright again, rectification, you will find the hidden stone. You will uncover the hidden stone. Visit the interior of the earth, and through rectification you will discover the hidden stone, from the alchemical tradition. And this means that you need to start looking at yourself. You need to look inwardly to understand what's really controlling things. What's really going on in the world is a direct result, is an outward manifestation of what's taking place within each individual. And the only way to really understand the causal factors of our experience in the external reality, we have to go within, and there we will find that generative force, because it is ultimately coming from us. And I did a show with Bob from Cincinnati on alchemy. I don't know if we got into vitriol. I may have gotten into this little anagrammatic saying on that show. I can't quite recall whether I did or not, but if you want to listen to more about the alchemical tradition, I suggest going back in the news section and checking that out. Maybe I'll do a show in the future on alchemy right here on What on Earth is Happening. But in the English language, derived from the Latin vitriolum, is and that meant an acid, like a very strong acid, like hydrochloric acid or something like that, I believe is what that meant in Latin. But the English word that is derived from the Latin vitriolum is vitriol, and it means vicious or bitter criticism, acidic, biting speech, okay? Very acidic speech. So I use vitriol all the time. I don't apologize for my use of vitriol. Acidic speech is there to wear down the lie and show people the lie is something that should not be respected at all. And anybody who backs it up, anybody who reinforces it, this isn't, this whole New Age garbage, this New Age deception of we have to put it in sweet, pleasing tones, okay? And if you get angry about anything, it invalidates the argument. This is such nonsense. It's such nonsense. And we just really need to understand that the veracity of information has nothing to do with how it is delivered. And look, I just want to even just give a example that probably will not be received very positively by many people, and I don't care whether it is or not. See, it's your karma whether you will take information that is true and do something with it. That has nothing to do with who said it to you. Their karma is that they have said it, and that it was accurate and it was true, and they passed it along. They don't need to put it in some pleasing tone that resonates with your emotional state of mind, that resonates with how you like something to sound. Because liars are all too willing to tell you a lie and make it sound so beautiful and wonderful and put it in sweet, pleasing tones. This is what the media does, the mainstream media does all the time. They wrap everything in such pleasant speech. We're going to talk with this nice cadence, and we're going to tell you a whole bunch of lies. But we'll make it sound wonderful and attractive to you. Look, the example that I think immediately comes to mind to me is Alex Jones' appearance on Piers Morgan a few weeks back, a couple weeks ago. People got so upset. He got angry and yelled and, even mocked Piers, and he comes off as looking like an idiot. Everything Alex said on the show was accurate. He was telling people the truth about what's really happening. If you don't like the way he said it, that doesn't invalidate or negate what he said. And guess what? You should stop making excuses for anybody who does think that way. Therein lies the problem. The problem is that people will listen to a lie if it's presented so beautifully. And I wouldn't suggest falling for that, going, to do that. I wouldn't say, well, since that's what they are responsive to, go and do that. Be as nice and pleasing and pleasant to them as possible. Wrong. They need to be snapped out of that mindset itself to be recognized. That's mind control. It's more than mind control. It's more insidious than mind control. It's what I've called heart control. It's emotional mind control. They're playing upon how a tone makes you feel, how a person's voice makes you feel. I'm not here to make you feel good. I'm here to tell you the truth. The truth doesn't have to make you feel good to be true. I don't need to present it in sweet, pleasing tones so that you feel good. Once again, folks, this all comes down to the two kinds of people in the world that are really ultimately causing the problem. And no, it's not the dark occultists. No, it's not the globalists. No, it's not the super financial elite. Okay? It is the two real groups of people, besides the police and military, or the order followers who are actually following the bidding, the orders of the sick, psychopathic, occult priest class that is really running the show, or at least barking out the orders. The two groups of people who are really making this situation continue are the 100% appallingly ignorant. The people who, it doesn't matter how much information is out there, they don't want to hear it, they don't want to know about it, they can't be bothered. Okay? Willful ignorance of truth. And the other group is what I call the semi-aware armchair quarterbacks. So we can, let's even have a little acronym for them, okay? The appallingly ignorant, they're the AI. They're not the artificially intelligent. They're not artificial intelligence. They have no intelligence. They're the appallingly ignorant. They're the AI. You want to know what AI, what form of AI is destroying the world? There it is, the appallingly ignorant. Then let's give another little acronym for the semi-aware armchair quarterbacks. Well, we'll hyphenate semi-aware armchair quarterbacks, the SACs. And what are they SACs of? Use your imagination. Okay, I'm sure you can come up with something. But they're the SACs. So the AI and the SACs are the ones who are really causing the overall problem and the continuance of human slavery. Because these are either people that can't be bothered to look at truth, or they're people who, you know, they've gotten a little bit of the picture, but then what they want to do is point fingers. They want to point fingers about how other people aren't doing a good enough job. Or I would have covered it like this. Or I wouldn't have got angry and you know, used any harsh inflection in my voice here. Yeah, but here's the key word here, people. You would have. You didn't do it. You're saying you would have, but what's happened in actuality? See, the actual action that you took was nil, was null, was big goose egg, zero, null and void. Okay? And this is the problem, that everybody wants to talk about what somebody else is doing or not doing. But when it comes to them actually doing something, please, we can't be bothered with that. I can't actually get on the field of battle. I have to sit here on the sidelines and be an armchair quarterback. And these are the people who are actually really keeping the world in the total state of ignorance and slavery that it does exist in. And that's why I say that, you know, a big portion of the podcast today is going to be vitriolic. Am I making attacks? Yes, I'm making attacks. Are they personal attacks? Well, I would say they're semi-personal, yes. Okay? Because I'm directing them in general at a type of person. I'm not going to single out any one individual person, but I'm going to say the people who are ignorant and the other group that is semi-aware, who just wants to sit around and say and comment on what other people are doing. My entire question or series of questions to them are the following. Here's what I ask people. And you know, I actually sent out this series of questions to several individuals this over the past couple of weeks. Not just one, not just two, several. Who wrote to me to suggest that I do things differently, or that I they don't like the way I'm doing this or that, or they are nitpicking about this particular aspect of what I said, or, this piece of information that they don't find is exactly accurate. And what I write back to people like that, first of all, you can go and look every single time you get somebody who's a complainer. You will go and look. You can take their name, their email address, you put it into a search engine. That's one of the first things I do. Let me see what this person's actually about. Let me see what they've done. And you know what you find every time? Not just some of the time, all of the time, 100% of the time. It's almost impossible to find anything about them online. There is no record. You can't type their name, even in double quotes. Like, to find a phrase in an internet search engine, you type it inside double quotes, okay? And it'll bring back pages that it has to have those two words together. So, like, first and last name, if you type Mark Passio without the double quotes wrapping it, you'll get a lot more results than you will if you type Mark Passio inside double quotes, because those two things, those two phrases, those two words, have to appear exactly together as a phrase. So you'll know that those pages contain something about me if you type it in double quotes into an internet search engine. Well, you do this with other people's first and last names, and you get nothing. These complainers, these nitpickers, they want to sit and complain, and they've done nothing. So I write to them and I say, I would like you, I'm very happy to answer your question, okay, about what you nitpick about, but I would like you to tell me the address of your monstrous website that's packed with so much information, total gems of wisdom, and it can totally help to liberate humanity. It's getting to the very crux of the issue, to the heart of the matter, and the taking in of this information that you have so freely and of your own accord put out there for humanity is capable of liberating humanity if it is deeply understood. Where's your track record? Where is your testimony? Where is your site? Okay? Or even barring that you have a site, how about radio interviews or podcasts that you've done with other hosts or that you've put together yourself? Okay? Even if you don't have your own site, where's your radio show? Do you have a radio show on Blog Talk Radio or Talk Shoe Network, or, someplace, or even a blog on Blogspot or something, okay? Where is the testimony of all the information that you're putting forward for other people to pick up on so that it can help them change their lives? And again, people can say, well, I'm doing that in my own life. Well, guess what? If you're not using the availability of information that can get the information out to as many people as possible, you're still not really putting the information out there. If you don't have a website, a podcast, a book, going on other radio shows, some form of media that is preservable, that can be put out there or given to other people, easily handed to them. You could put a podcast on a disc, hand it to somebody. You could put it on a thumb drive or on a hard drive. Okay? Where is this for other people? What have you actually put into the world? Giving freely of your time and your resources to explain things like the non-aggression principles, the principles of self-ownership, natural law, true freedom, what it really is, mind control and how it operates. Where is all that data that you're putting out there it's so drastically different from mine, and I'm so wrong, or it gets the parts totally right that I get wrong or that other researchers get wrong? See, I don't care who it is. It doesn't have to be me that you're attacking. Whether you're attacking David Icke, or whether you're attacking Alex Jones, or whether you're attacking lesser-known people. It doesn't matter who it is. Deepak Chopra, way bigger known. Wayne Dyer, William Cooper, I don't know. Terrence McKenna, Jordan Maxwell, Michael Tessarion. It doesn't matter. Stuart Wilde, I don't know. Graham Hancock, Robert Bauval. It doesn't make a difference who it is. Anybody out there that's putting information out, at least they're doing something. They're putting information out into the world that they feel is appropriate and can help people. I don't care whether you even think that they somehow have an ulterior motive. Here's the point. The point is, what are you doing? What are you doing? What you're doing is you're writing to somebody to nitpick about something instead of actually doing something that is effective in helping people to understand that we're enslaved. I mean, you look at the actual situation, folks. There's slavery operating on the earth. You're in it. You're ensconced in it. It is affecting you. You are not separate from it. And what you want to do is go and attack one of the other people who are being kept in this same state of slavery? They have us all in a cage. And you want to go and attack the other prisoners instead of actually work toward real liberation. And this is why I need to separate myself and take a step back and refocus my efforts. Not redouble them, but just refocus them. I need to take a step back because I have to ask myself, what kind of an effect is what I'm doing really, truly having? If this is where people's mindset still is, what effect is anything that anybody's putting out there really having? And my answer is not a whole lot. Not a whole lot. Their minds are still wholly owned, and the owners have them where they want them. It doesn't have to be like that, but that's what they're choosing for some strange reason. Let me get back into some of the things I write to people, and it's vitriolic. It's bitter. It's nasty. I'm not telling you that I'm always a very nice person. I never made the statement I was always a very nice person. I can be crude to people. That doesn't mean I don't understand the non-aggression principle. That doesn't mean that I don't understand true freedom. Okay? It means people can still piss me off and make me think, my God, we are totally and utterly doomed if this is the quality of people that's even remotely interested in any of these things. We are doomed if that's the case. And again, I want to go later in the show, I want to reiterate why I even do any of this. Because again, for anybody who's just starting to listen or has been listening, and you think I do this because I like people, that I want to say, quote unquote, save people, please, I'm not anybody's savior, okay? I don't even like people, to be honest. I do not really like people. I want to be left alone. That's why really what the goal I want out of this all. Okay? I want people to understand the non-aggression principle and the principles of self-defense. I want them to understand what true freedom is. I want them to understand what rights are and what rights are not. And I want to be left alone. And I want them to leave other people alone if they want to be left alone. I'm not in this for a popularity contest. I don't want to be liked. I don't want new friends. I don't want any new friends. I don't want you to like me. I don't care if you like me. All I want you to do is understand the information on your own. Go through it on your own. Make of what you will of it and then go do something with it. And you don't need to take it from me. It's not because it is me. Okay? You can go take it from somebody else. I don't care how you acquire it. Understand what's real. Stop believing in fantasy like authority and government. And stop advocating for human slavery by the continuation of those belief systems. That's all I care about. And I'm doing this not to serve people, but to serve truth. I've said that repeatedly. I don't even like people. Okay? I'm being totally and completely honest about this. I want to be left alone as much as possible. That's what the non-aggression principle is about. Leaving other people alone. That's the number one human right, is to be left alone. So I want to go back to the things I tell people. In this vitriolic, bitter speech, it's bitter. I'm bitter about even having to do this. I'm bitter that this is what my life has become. This is what I'm doing because there's a responsibility to do it, and I'm fulfilling that responsibility. That's it. I know it's right. I do it because it's right. And don't tell me I can't choose to be bitter about that, because I want my life to be something better than what it is right now. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not wrong for wanting not to have to do this here while I'm alive here on earth. Don't tell me that makes me any kind of a bad person because I don't want to teach ignoramuses what I already know. I don't want to do this. People say, well, why do you keep doing it? Because I have a responsibility. Because there's ignorant people. They're going to create total chaos in the world unless somehow their mind is taken out of the absolute garbage, sewage state that it is in and brought up to a higher level of awareness and consciousness. Do I have to like that job? No. I'm cleaning out the sewers, folks. That's my job. I clean the sewers of the world, along with many other people who do work like this. We are drudging up all of the garbage that has accumulated in the mass psyche of humanity, trying to somehow clean it out. That's what we are. We are garbage people. We are garbage haulers, you could look at it as. I told people it's like being a waiter, serving something to somebody, and you're waiting, as in you're staying there waiting for them to catch up, waiting for them to take this into themselves so that they are as filled with the knowledge as other people have become, as very few other people have become. And that involves waiting a long time. That doesn't mean I'm their servant. I happen to be a waiter, like a waiter in a restaurant. It's a very appropriate name in green language terms because you're handing something to somebody that came from elsewhere, okay? That truth is actually putting the information on the plate. Then I'm taking it and saying, here it is. Take a look. Here it is. Here it's arranged like this. Take it into yourself. And I'm sitting there waiting for them to catch up, to be full with the knowledge. So the term waiter is very appropriate for what this job is about. And I would also look at it as sanitation. I work in sanitation now. Mental, emotional, and spiritual sanitation. So how many people really would think that that's something that people would so love to do? No, but is it necessary? It's necessary. Is it a responsibility? It's a responsibility. That doesn't mean I like it or have to feel good about it. I want my life to live in peace, to do what I want to do with it. I would like to go and learn some gardening techniques. I would like to get better as an artist. I do some artwork. I do digital graphics and manipulation of graphics, and I think I have a pretty good aesthetic eye. I've tried my hand at painting, and I think I have some talent there, but I would like to work on that more with my time and really hone artistic skills and capabilities, which I think are latent within me. And I don't spend that time doing that because I do work like this. You know, I would like to have more time that, do other forms of, volunteering, maybe with animals or something. I love animals. I want to spend more time with my animals. But I spend time doing this work because this is the main responsibility in the world right now. If we don't want to see the world collapse to total and utter crap, quite frankly, which it's well on the way to doing and is already most of the way there, to be quite honest. And you still have people nitpicking. So to these nitpickers, what I write is, show me your big website with all your data that you've put thousands of free hours of work into accumulating. Where is it? Where's your testimony to the world? Online, not written on some paperwork in your house where nobody can see it. Online, okay? If you don't have your own site, show me the other forum that you work out of. Okay, podcasting forums, or being on other host shows. I say, where can I pick up your latest world-changing book? Where can I pick up your latest world-changing documentary video? Or maybe you don't have a knack online, so maybe you write books, you get them published, and you sell them throughout the world. Where's your big book, or your series of smaller books? Okay, I want to know, where's all this data? Where is it all at that you're helping humanity with? You have so much time to write to people and nitpick their work, but where's your work at? Barring that, how about profound web videos you've made? Maybe you can tinker around with Windows Movie Maker or iMovie or any other open source movie making software. Okay, where's your web video? Point me to a YouTube site, a YouTube channel where I can see all your videos and check them out. Where's your live presentations? Hey, you could just take your phone, have a friend hold it and give a presentation and then post it. Where's that at? You know where it is? That's where it is. It's nowhere. Nowhere. A big goose egg. Sound the gong, press the buzzer, bzzz, zero. All the time. Not just some of the time, all of the time. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, I am not lying to you. 100%, barring none, 100% of every criticism I have ever received, I have asked, please show me your work that you have put out there that refutes this. And not one person ever writes back with so much as a link, as a URL in the email to say, this is my work, I have put this out, here it is, check it out. I would at least have respect. Even if you wanted to totally crush some aspect of my work, and I would go and look at it, and if it panned out, I would even say I was wrong. But you never even hear that from anybody. You never even hear that you never hear one word of response when you ask them, where is your work? Nothing. Silence comes back, ladies and gentlemen, silence. And again, this is another part of why I'm going to vent on this show. I'm going to express vitriolic speech, and I'm going to take a step back and reevaluate things. And I'm going to refocus my efforts in a different way. Okay? So that's what this first podcast is really ultimately all about. I want to reiterate why I do what I do. It's going to continue in a different form. And ultimately why I feel like I need to take a step back. Because I'm burning myself out. Trying to cast pearls before swine in many cases. And it's not to say I'm going to stop and withhold information. Because information isn't mine to withhold. It belongs to all of humanity. It belongs to the universe. Okay? The truth is no one's property. And I want to play a little video that deals with that concept a little bit later. Play the audio from a video. It's a great video that goes along with some of the topics that I've been talking about. It was brought to my attention from Bob from Cincinnati, who I want to thank for sending me the link. The video was called The Implication of Occulted Knowledge Upon Humanity, which I thought was even a great title for a video. And perfectly encapsulates in a very brief way what's really going on this planet in a nutshell. So I'm going to play that a little bit later, and it's about how, the truth doesn't belong to anyone. No one has a monopoly on it. I'm not going to withhold anything or just stop doing what I'm doing, but I am going to do it in a slightly different fashion from this point forward. And for the people who truly want it, they'll get it. They'll go out and take it. And again, I'm cutting back on interaction with people. People have been disappointing me over and over and over and over. When I want to have a little bit of faith in people that maybe they're changing, maybe they're getting it, they always continuously disappoint me and show me my whatever amount of hope or faith I may have had in humanity is misplaced. This is a totally ignorant, barbaric, lazy, cowardly, apathetic, mongrel animal race. And you could say, oh, you're slipping into a dark, degenerated, poisoned worldview. Maybe so, folks. I don't know. In many ways, the level of ignorance I see most people at, and the level of just where their mindset is at in general, instead of actually doing something, I sit back and think, maybe these dark occultists were correct. I don't know. I almost see myself not totally agreeing with them, but saying, I can understand why they think the way that they do. That's all. I can understand why they think the way that they do and why they want to do what they want to do to people. That doesn't mean I think it's right, but I can understand it. I can understand where it's coming from in their mind, because there's a small part of me that still not necessarily thinks like that, but is capable of at least resonating and seeing why they have such a level of total contempt for people who are existing in this state of willful ignorance. Because I'm done with the excuse that it's not willful ignorance. It is willful ignorance, ladies and gentlemen. It has nothing to do with nescience, with not knowing because you had no ability to know. People who are in a state of not knowing in this world today have chosen that state. They are willfully choosing to ignore information that is all around them, capable of liberating their mind, capable of helping humanity out of the prison that it is currently trapped in. So please do not try to convince me that this is not willful ignorance of the truth, because it absolutely is. So just to go back to some of these questions I asked the people, I say, give me your website, give me your podcast that you've been on, radio shows, your articles that you've written about the non-aggression principle, the principles of self-ownership, natural law, occultism, true freedom. Where are those at? Where's your big life-changing book? Where's your big life-changing documentary video? Your worldview-changing book and documentary video? Your series of profound web videos, your YouTube channel, live presentations you've made. How about just point me to groups of activists, meetup groups? How about that you help organize, events, rallies that you've been behind, political activism even of some kind, as people can debate the effectiveness of all of that, but even that, even if it's just for awareness purposes, educational outreaches, that you've helped to organize. How about conferences you've helped to personally organize and spend thousands of hours of unpaid work, unremunerated work to bring together truth tellers or whistleblowers? Where is all of this stuff? To anybody that wants to write to nitpick or to complain about what I happen to be doing or not doing, or other people happen to be doing or not doing. You don't like the way Alex Jones just went on Piers Morgan and blew up at him and talked over him and told people that if they give up their guns, they're idiots, or if they, if the government continues to come and try to keep taking firearms from Americans, that there's going to be a second hot revolution in this country? Well, go put out your own message then. Go do your own work. Go do something else. People who complain are usually doing squat. So, that's really all I have to say about these armchair quarterbacks. They don't really understand the nature of the situation. What I would like to do, let me tell you what I would really like to do with the armchair quarterbacks. If I had one wish, if someone can let me tell you something. How about this? Let's go this far. If there's a dark occultist out there that can make this happen for me somehow, okay? And I know they'll never agree to it, so I'm wasting my words even saying this. But what I would really love to be able to do is to just have them come to a ritual of dark occultists, of Luciferians, dark Luciferians, Satanists, Setians, any type of dark occult ritual, but at least somewhat at a level where it's dealing with people who are in the power structure, not just enthusiasts of dark occultism or a particular dark occult ideology. So similar to involvement at the level of involvement in the dark occult that I was at in the past. Unfortunately, my connections to that are so severed, I couldn't just make a phone call and say, hey, can you take this person in and let them witness a ritual? First of all, they'll probably not do that anyway. But I would just love, if I had the capability of just putting one of these people in the evil, into the midst of the evil, and the psychopathy that you would witness at such a gathering, There is no way you would ever again waste your time writing to anybody, no matter who it is, trying to tell people the truth about what's really going on in the world, and waste your time nitpicking on any of their work, no matter how off you may have thought one particular thing or any number of particular things they said was. Because you would recognize in your own mind where you're at. You'd recognize it, boom, like that in a heartbeat. And you would know the level of evil that you're really trapped within. And you wouldn't waste energy on stuff like that. You would not waste energy for another second on stuff like that. I mean, just imagine. Just let me try to put this into perspective, folks, to vent just a little bit more. Imagine if I were to write to someone like, I'll use 3 people as an example because I think some of the work that they put out has been the most proliferous. They have so much information and data that they have put out into the world that it's almost incomprehensible to me. Okay? David Icke, Michael Tsarion, and Jordan Maxwell. Imagine if and I've put quite a bit of information into the world, but imagine if I were to write to them and go, imagine if I were just to write to David Icke and go, David, your concept of how the dark occultists view the feminine, the queen, in the symbolism as you talk about it, I don't happen to personally 100% agree with that, and I look at it like they're actually trying to kill the sacred feminine more so than they're worshiping that aspect of the dark feminine. Now, I'm not saying that isn't true, okay? They have this concept of the queen in their work, most certainly, and the feminine aspect of the dark side of the occult is something that is very prevalent. But just imagine if I were to write to him with all the work this guy has put out. Whether you even agree with it or not, whether you like him or not, that's not the point. The amount of stuff he has put out into the world, okay? Almost 20 books, countless videos, incalculable numbers of radio shows and interviews, to a point where you can't even imagine this person has actually talked and given that much of his time, talked so freely and given that much of his time to do that much work, okay? Imagine if I were just to write to him to say, this one aspect of your work makes me think you so don't know what you're talking about in regards to any of this that I think it invalidates everything you've ever put out, and I can't recommend your work to anybody. Could you imagine the hubris that I would have to even be at to even write something like this or say something like that to somebody like that? I mean, people have to be completely out of their gourds. I mean, I'm dumbstruck. I'm dumbfounded. I'm speechless. I don't even know what to say. People will nitpick on the tiniest of things about an aspect of the monetary system. They'll nitpick on a word etymology. They'll nitpick on the interpretation of a symbol. I mean, if you see the emails that I get where people just want to nitpick on something instead of actually do their own work, who cares whether you don't accept any of my interpretations? Who cares, quite frankly? How about that? Let's just say it just like that. Go do your own homework. I told you this from day one on the podcast, not to believe me. Take what you will and leave the rest. Go do your own homework, come to your own conclusions, and then act upon it. Okay? I'm not interested whether you agree or disagree with me. I don't care. All I care about is if you understand the non-aggression principle and you're willing to leave other people alone who want to be left alone. And you don't advocate for the slavery of other people through things called authority and government that are not real, have never been real, and are never going to be real. It's a claim on somebody else's body. It's a claim on somebody else's property. It's a claim on somebody else's labor. That's all these things ever have been. And that equates to slavery. They've only ever been slavery. And if you're advocating them, you're advocating human slavery. Whether you understand that or not, it's true. That's what I care about, whether people understand. Get the heart of it. first. You want to nitpick on the details, you're wasting your time and everybody else's. The core message is the important aspect of this. Understand that and teach it to other people. That's the best usage of your time. People say, well, other people write to me and they thank me for everything. And they say what a wonderful, great job I'm doing. And I don't even look at emails like that as so wonderful and great. They don't make me feel that great. I mean, I'm glad people appreciate what I'm doing, but you want to know the emails that make me feel good? Somebody sends me a link with what they're doing. That's an email I feel good about getting. Okay? And I'll go and look at stuff like that. Because you're actually taking some action. You're actually doing something. There's more people in the world, since you got involved in doing what you're doing, putting this information out into the world. So I feel good about those. I don't feel as good about when people say, Mark, you're doing such a great job. Thank you so much for this information, as I do when people say to me, I took an example from what you did and I did this. Or, even if they say, I don't agree with what you did here and I did this instead, I'd feel better about that. Because at least they're doing something instead of doing nothing. The armchair quarterbacking is going to do nothing to change our situation, folks. Get involved. Get on the field. Choose a side and get on the field of battle. Because this is a war. And if you don't understand that, you don't understand what's going on. You're in the middle of a spiritual war. And if you're doing nothing to put information out into the world to change other people's mindset and worldview, you are not helping. You're actually helping the other side. You're helping the dark side. If you say you want true freedom and you say you don't want tyranny, if you're not getting involved in actually putting something out there and doing something on the battlefield, then you're actually helping the other side as far as I'm concerned. Because that's what they want, inaction. And I'm telling you, the people who are really running this show right now, the people who are the owners, who are the slave masters, these dark occultists are laughing themselves into a stupor. They are laughing so hard that they have people in the mindset that all they'll do is attack each other. Divide and conquer. And people could say, well, you're doing the same thing right now. No, I'm not, ladies and gentlemen. I am pointing it out to explain to people how stupid it is. And I'm not going to spend more time on this topic. Okay, future shows are going to be dealing with more information and information-dense material. So this is the podcast where I'm trying to explain to people this is what we need to get out of doing. I'm explaining these are the people who are doing this. These armchair quarterbacks and people who think everybody's a shill because they said one thing they don't agree with. Oh, he said he didn't talk about this aspect of this, and so he must be a shill and trying to hold that back. Well, it doesn't occur to somebody, maybe he didn't want to focus on that aspect, or maybe he doesn't even know about that aspect. No, that doesn't occur. You're automatically an agent of the state. You're automatically a shill or a disinfo agent. This is nonsense. Total nonsense thinking. And I'm telling you, the real owners are they're pissing their pants. They are the belly laughs that I have personally heard come out of the mouth of occultists. I want to find somebody to draw for me a scene that I witnessed at a ritual that I attended. If there is any artist out there that could paint, etch, sketch, draw, do a cartoon, I don't care, whatever. If there's any good visual artist that can depict a picture of a ritual that I attended, because I want somebody to try to put on paper the demented, psychopathic, evil laugh. And maybe I'll even try to find some sound recording of of a laugh that can even approximate the laugh of this occultist that I once heard, who was laughing at a cop who was actually guarding the house while the ritual was being conducted. He was actually laughing and calling this cop our pets. Our pets. While he was gorging himself on food and smoking a cigar. In this dark gray suit with this ugly tie, and just, he looked like, you know, the father from Harry Potter? You know, the Harry Potter's foster father, not his real father. You know, the Dudleys, I think their name is. The father Dudley, I can't remember what his name is, but that's what this guy looked like, or at least reminded me of. And again, this was way before the Harry Potter stuff ever came out. In retrospect, thinking about his face, that is who he looked like. I would just love to have this drawn. I could describe the scene, I could describe what the inside of the place looked like, and I could describe how he was laughing at this person, where they were standing in relationship, and just maybe I could even, you know, go find a sound file to play the belly laugh that I heard. I don't even want to try to approximate the belly laugh because, one, I will probably butcher it and not get it right. I'm going to go on sound pages and just try to find a deep laugh that approximates how this psychopath was laughing at this cop. And it just, like, if I could put somebody there for an instant, I just wish I could go back in time and just put somebody in that position to just show them who their owners are. It's my only wish, to be honest, because then your whole worldview would change in a heartbeat. You would see what the level of evil and sickness that you're really up against, and you wouldn't waste one iota of energy nitpicking on the people who are actually trying to change this thing. So, you know, when people say, Mark, you get worked up about it, you get angry, you get bitter, all of those things. Yes, because what are these people doing? The answer is absolutely nothing. And that's the problem. And you're damn right I'm going to be bitter about that because I've given my life up. I have given up my life to bring this information to people. Then you have other people that they hear a tiny piece of information, and they don't even bother to go to your site to look at what kind of a body of knowledge is there, and they ask the most ridiculous of questions, like, do you have any information about mind control? No, I don't have any information about mind control. You heard a half an hour interview I did, and that's the question. You go right to my contact page on my website, you click that, you know, and that's the first question that you ask. You didn't bother to even look at the site. No, I don't have any information on mind control. I just spent a year and a half of my life breaking it down for people. A year and a half of my life to put shows together that deeply explain it and go through all of the methodologies that are involved with it. But I don't have any information on mind control. This is who we're dealing with, people. These are the people who people will say their heart's in the right place. They want to do the right thing. They want to learn. This is who's on our team. This is who we have on our team. You know what this is? This show is and always has been a comedy hour. It's a comedy show for the dark occult. Laughing, saying, look at what he's doing for nothing. Pissing themselves, laughing. People think we're going to be free. You think we're going to be free? It's a big goddamn joke. People who think that. They're a big goddamn joke. And that's all I have to say, you know, on this topic. What I want to go through, and again, that's not the reason I even do this. I don't even do this because I think humanity's magically going to be free. I do this because I'm speaking the truth, and I serve truth. That's the force I serve. I do not serve human beings. I don't even like human beings. Okay? I think human beings are devolved golems. The vast majority of them on this planet. There are some very good beings on this planet who are truly working to help other people understand, to help get the truth out there to people, to serve truth. Okay? There are some people who really understand true freedom. I consider them my brothers and sisters in this war. But most people are degenerated animals, and they deserve what happens to them. The problem, the moral issue that I have, is that they're dragging other people into that total cesspool of suffering with them. If they could do it, it's very unfortunate that we're all one and we're all connected. Very unfortunate, because if we could somehow separate from that dross, from that chaff that isn't even really true humanity, I don't know what it is. It's some degenerated animalistic golem. Then it would be great, because they could have what's coming to them and we could have what we really, truly should have, which is true freedom and a world that is governed by the principles of non-aggression, and actually then turn our lives over to doing what we really want to be doing instead of doing this, which is saying the same thing over and over again to a bunch of ignorant asses who don't even want to understand or know. And that's not what I consider good quality of life, quite frankly. You know, and you say, well, that's selfish. Yeah, it is. There's nothing wrong with me wanting my life to do what I want with it instead of having to say the same thing over and over again to people who really don't want to understand it. I'm doing this because I am not going to let truth be lost in the world. And this is why other people are really doing it. They have a responsibility to truth, which is a responsibility that is higher than a responsibility to any other human being, including one's self, lowercase s. My responsibility to myself does not supersede my responsibility to the truth. And which is why I'm going to keep talking. Don't think I'm going away. But I am pulling back my contact with other people. I will be putting things out. I'll be putting new videos out soon. I'm going to be putting out the lecture that I gave at MUFON, Pennsylvania, at the MUFON PA conference. Tim Smith, I want to thank him for doing a phenomenal job on the videos that he just produced. First of all, he did the Matrix presentation, the Matrix Trilogy Decoded presentation video, which he did a great job on that. He did a phenomenal job on the MUFON presentation that I gave. Right now, that had been offered as an exclusive video on the Free Your Mind fundraiser. So I'm going to hold that video for about another month or so. And maybe I'll post it on the first day of spring. That would be a nice new addition to the work on my website, on my video page, and on my YouTube channel. At the beginning of spring. I think I'll do that. I also have the video I did at the Why Tesla Matters conference, also produced by Tim Smith. Did a phenomenal job on that as well. I'll probably post those together when spring begins. Let's look at that as a tentative date for those to hit the What on Earth is Happening website. So new material will be going up. This will be in a regular podcast format. Okay, so don't look for it the same time every week. You'll have to just check the website every now and again, and new episodes, will be going up. Again, I may do another podcast tomorrow. I may do two podcasts this week. I may not do a podcast this coming week. I may, do one next weekend. I may do 6 in a month. I may do 1 or 2 in a month. It's going to be on my schedule when the urge strikes me, and again, it's going to take on a little bit more of a targeted and focused format. So that's all the venting and the vitriol that I want to get out there for today. And again, it isn't to necessarily just to go on an attack or a rant. It's to point this out, that this is a bad use of energy. It's not, I don't recommend it as a good use of people's energy. Go do something that's truly productive. Put this information out there for other people. That's the reason why things aren't changing fast enough. You're spending time nitpicking on stuff instead of putting information out there for people. I don't even care if you don't have it all right. You can go and edit it later. You can go and say, later, after I put this out, I reevaluated it. I no longer think this. I can go back and say, hey, information in podcast, whatever, number whatever. I didn't have this right. Please accept my apologies that I put out bad information, and here's my change. Here's my revision. You could always do that, I feel like I waited too long to even start talking. I've said this before in the past. I sat on this knowledge for a while, doing nothing, until someone shook me out of that with vitriol, with harsh words, not with saying, it's okay that you're doing that and not really speaking and you know all of this and you're doing nothing. No, they said, hey, what makes you think you can do that? What makes you think you have a right and that you don't carry your responsibility to put this out there for other people? That's how they said it to me, and I thank them for saying that to me like that. Pat from Virginia, who I may not have, I probably would have eventually, woken up into action, but it may not have been for another couple of years if that person didn't just say that to me in a vitriolic way. So I think that's great. And she might not even think it was a vitriolic way, whatever. I would say it wasn't at least pleasing to make me think that, to stay comfortable in thinking I was doing the right thing, because I wasn't. Silence is not the right thing. And anybody that's an armchair quarterback who's staying silent, you're not helping. You're hurting the war effort, the spiritual war that's going on. So that's really all I want to say on that topic. I want to end the show today by with two things, and people will probably think the first thing that I'm going to say is leaving on a negative note. I'll leave on a more positive note by playing the video that I had suggested for people that was recommended to me from Bob from Cincinnati. The first thing I want to say is, people will ask me, do you have any hope for humanity? Do you have any hope for our situation? The answer to that is largely no. I don't have much hope. But it's not 100% gone. There is a tiny, tiny bit. And it's there for one reason, and really one reason only. And it's not because I think humanity is intelligent, truly intelligent, or operating on any kind of holistic intelligence. It's not because I think that they care, because they have developed a lot of care and desire to know. It's not because I think that they're have so much courage and they're getting ready to stand up for their rights. It's not because I think that they know what rights really are. It's not because I think that they want to do the right thing. I don't have hope for any of those reasons. I don't have hope because people are, have such a strong developed will and they're so ready to get involved and do something and make things happen. I have hope for none of those reasons. As a matter of fact, those things, I recognize that humanity is apathetic, they're ignorant, they're lazy, they're cowardly, and in a very, very huge proportion, there are more people who are non-activated, who are not intelligent, who are apathetic, who are not actually taking any real action that could help for the better than are. The proportion is staggering. Okay, I would say if 1/10 of people are aware and active, I would say that would be an encouraging sign. I don't think we're anywhere even close to that, who really understand and are really doing something about it, who understand the true causal factors and then are actually trying to help other people to understand those true causal factors that are rooted in natural law. I would say it's far less than 1/10 of the whole human population. Far less than that. Maybe 0.05%. Maybe. I'm being exceedingly generous, I think. So, with that having been said, then people will say, well, why do you have any hope at all? And the graphics that I'm going to post with the podcast, I'm only going to post 4 of them today. I will also post a related video, and I'll post the related audio file of the Free Your Mind commercial, the audio commercial. If anyone wants to pick that up and run it on any network or show, absolutely feel free to do so. It will be posted with this podcast. The video will be posted as well that I'm going to play to take us out today. And the 4 images, the first 2 were related to the Free Your Mind Conference. The Free Your Mind Conference poster was image number 1. The conference fundraiser poster was image number 2. At least it's a preliminary poster. We're going to add the other band's logos to it and put out a finalized version in the next couple days. The third image is explaining the alchemical acronym of Vitriol. And the fourth image is the reason that I have any hope at all. It's a chart that shows the gun ownership rate in the world. Worldwide gun ownership per 100 people. Average firearm ownership per 100 people. And if you look at the chart, America stands alone. And to me, it's one of the most beautiful visions and hopeful visions that I've seen in years. And let me tell you something, folks. The only reason that the world is already not a 100% locked down totalitarian society, similar to or worse than Nazi Germany, Hitler's Germany, Mao's China, Stalin's Russia, or any other wicked totalitarian regime that has ever existed in the world. The only reason that the world has not gotten to that place yet is because America has not yet been declawed and defanged by becoming disarmed. And as long as I draw breath, I'm going to continue to fight to preserve and actually enhance the level of firearms ownership that exists in the United States. And people will say, how could you consider yourself a spiritual teacher when you're teaching people that firearms are good? Because I understand not only the non-aggression principle, I understand the second pillar that goes hand in hand in the synthesis of principles. The sacred feminine encapsulates the non-aggression principles of do not do harm to others, do not infringe upon their inherent natural rights. But the second pillar of principles is the self-defense principle, which means if someone is making incursions upon your natural rights, your life, your liberty, your property, you do possess inherently the natural right to use defensive force to protect your life, liberty, and property against those incursions. And no government, no matter how much they want to claim they have a monopoly on the use of force, they do not, and do not ever possess the right to take that inherent right to self-defense away. We've talked about this ad infinitum on previous shows, and it will continue to be a theme that I re-emphasize on future shows. But this is the only reason I have any hope for America, ladies and gentlemen. And let me tell you something. I would rather those guns be in the hands of ignorant people than not be in the hands of people at all. That's how much I believe in the ownership of firearms. Because once you take away someone's defensive capability, you own them. You own them. You could do what you want with them. And that's why the government is making these intrusions. As soon as a government even starts trying to take away the citizens' protection against encroachment of tyranny, as soon as they try to take away that capability or start making inroads on taking away that capability in any way, in any form, those are the conditions that are ripe for tyranny. And you can guarantee they're getting ready to go hot with that tyranny. And this is what's happening in the United States today. And we have people nitpicking on researchers, on different researchers. Still talking about, is the Federal Reserve private, or how much of our tax money gets paid to them, or word etymologies or meanings of symbols. When they're trying to take the firearms from the citizenry of America. This is happening now because they're trying to declaw and defang the last line of defense against tyranny. And people will say, oh, well, we could never fight back against this government anyway, even if they did go hot with tyranny. You don't think so? I beg to differ. And I'm telling you, the American military and whatever other paramilitary police forces they have in third world countries can't deal with that resistance. You don't think that angry American resistors can get the job done and put down a tyrannical regime quickly? Well, I would suggest that you're a little too brainwashed by the mass media and what, the power that you think this government really does have. I don't care what kind of advanced weaponry they have. Good luck that's going to do against 80 million gun owners. Good luck with that. Wouldn't want to be on that side. Won't want to be on that side of that war. Not saying that this might not, if it goes hot, if the tyranny goes hot and then a revolution has to go hot to suppress the tyranny, I'm not telling you there aren't going to be enormous casualties on both sides. But I'm telling you, I wouldn't want to be on the side of the people who try it here. I wouldn't want to be on the side of the people who would dare to try it here. So my the two words I have for them is Molan Labe. Try it. Try to come and get them. And I'll just wrap it up on that. That's the image that brings me hope. I look at that image every day because it's the only thing anymore that puts a smile on my face. And I hope people understand what I'm saying when I say that. So let's end with this great video that was brought to my attention by Bob from Cincinnati of Occult Empire. Thanks for sending me the link to this, Bob. This is a video that really talks about some of the things that I went over today on the show, and it gets into the implications of occulted knowledge, something I've been talking about since day one on What on Earth is Happening, and we'll continue to talk about on many future shows on the What on Earth is Happening podcast. So I'll take us out with this video, and it's very well done. I commend the maker of it, who really put so much in so little. I will also post it with the podcast so you can see the good visuals that he associated with this breakdown of what occult knowledge really is and its impacts upon human society and ultimately the internal world of the psyche within each individual. So we'll end on that, and I'll see everybody here when I see you. I'll be putting out podcasts again on an irregular schedule, so just check the website. Please help to promote for the Free Your Mind 2 conference. I ask people to spread those posters. Invite your friends on the Facebook page for the event. You can find that on Facebook. Just type Free Your Mind 2 conference. And get involved. Just keep doing something. Don't just complain about other people and their work. Do something yourself. That's the message I want to end on. And we'll take you out with this video, the implication of occulted knowledge upon humanity. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to What on Earth is Happening, podcast number 139. And remember, there are only 2 mistakes that one can make on the path to truth: not starting and not going all the way. We'll see you next time, folks.
Peace and blessings. The following is a short video presentation for the Sacred Breath Archives on the current collective psychology of humankind, and in particular, the implications of secret societies and those who hide, that is, those who occult knowledge from their fellow humans. First, it is important to briefly explain the extreme as above, so below, or as within, so without reality. Many understand the psychological and spiritual challenges we face within us as individuals will reflect themselves into so-called real external events and phenomena. Likewise, the psychological and spiritual challenges we face as a collective people will also manifest in events and phenomena that follow similar archetypal patterns, only on a much grander scale. One such way this happens, that many may be familiar with, is through the divination arts such as astrology. Contrary to popular belief of the masses, astrology is not the study of how heavenly bodies affect the individual. The heavenly bodies act simply as a map to the archetypal cyclical patterning of man's psyche. All would agree that it is absurd to say that the earth turns as it does because of the effects of some mysterious force that clocks have on it. A clock is simply a way to track and map the revolution of the earth. The same applies for astrology, although further explanation of this is beyond the scope of the presentation. In a similar manner, I believe that many ancient stories that we have incorrectly called myth are indeed the retelling of actual events that occurred in literal history. They may not be 100% accurate, and they may be embellished in certain details. They may not also be originally associated with the peoples of whom we have received those stories from. Many stories have passed through many different cultures, but the names and places are often changed so as to relate to the particular culture. These events have archetypal themes that continue to manifest as maps and guides to the spiritual and psychological issues that we as humans have not dealt with. Just as it was said earlier, that the individual will attract certain life challenges and situations to themselves based on their psychological and spiritual state of being. In particular, it would appear that humanity's current state of apathetic, detached, zombie-like psychopathy is in large part because of peoples, both past and present, who have held knowledge from the general masses of humanity. This includes those who did and do so with malicious intent, and those who have mistakenly done so with good intent. There are those both past and present who have felt that knowledge of the spiritual and psychological inner workings of both man and the universe should be kept secret and only disclosed to a certain few who are deemed worthy. I can understand the thinking behind wanting to keep certain knowledge secret so that it does not fall into the hands of those with malicious intent. However, the following problems arise even when intent is sincere. Firstly, no one has the right to own truth. There is no monopoly on the truth, and every man has a right to it. Therefore, to purposely withhold the truth is against the laws of nature or God. Secondly, having another human or group of humans judging who and who isn't worthy of certain information is to go against the hierarchical nature of the universe, where each man must be deemed righteous by his own conscience, that is, his own link to the divine mind. It is not for another to judge who is and isn't worthy of truth, as nature itself has accounted for this in its laws. Nature herself judges who is and isn't worthy of truth through means of initiation and rites of passage in the form of moral challenges for both the individual and the collective. We can notice how man has attempted to replicate this through such things as the lodge system of Freemasonry and other secret societies. We are already members, though, of the Grand Lodge of Life, so to speak, and law and truth herself will guide us to her if we pay attention. In the Kemetic or ancient Egyptian spiritual system, they gave the image of the weighing of the heart with the feather of truth. Those whose heart was not in balance with truth were devoured by Amit, a creature that was part crocodile, part lion, and part hippopotamus, the three largest man-eating animals known to the Kemetic people. Those who are not worthy of truth in accordance with their thoughts, emotions, and actions are devoured by their own shadow. Lastly, on a global scale, by keeping truth hidden, man as a collective is like an individual who has intellectual knowledge of the truth but refuses to live accordingly. They lock that truth somewhere in the shadows of their being. They continue to live a life of greed, materialism, and selflessness because they refuse to look within at the self. This leads to a contradiction of being and a house divided amongst itself, which, as we know, cannot stand. And so we get both an individual and a people rife with mental illness and in many cases psychopathy. If, however, the truth is disclosed to all people, if all have free access to information about the occult knowledge of man and the universe, then they would, without hindrance, be able to address the self, recognize rites of passage in their life, and see life as one great initiation into the mysteries of the universe. They would be guided to truth by truth herself, and would quickly recognize the ways in which they are failing through an understanding of the laws that govern moral behavior. It is therefore the moral obligation of those who come to truth, however small that portion of truth they have come to is, to speak and live that truth. You have no obligation to convince others of anything. There is no point banging your head against a brick wall. But humbly present people with what you know. Live so that there is no contradiction in your being, and let the truth do the rest.